Hey Juventini, it's Alberto here. Welcome back to the All Juve cast, and it's that time again. It's time for the tactical breakdown ahead of this weekend's match between Lazio and Juventus. All right, so what we're going to do in these videos, if you're new to it, is we take a look at our opponent, we take a look at how they like to attack, we take a look at tendencies, and we look for areas for Juventus to try and capitalize and just basically become a little familiar with our opponents for those who haven't watched much of Lazio. All right. So without further ado, let's get to the slides we have prepared for this breakdown. All right. So taking a look at Lazio basically, and what they like to do is basically take what you give them, and they're very, very good at it. What they also like to do is collapse with their forwards. Maurizio Sarri never shies away from what he wants to do. That's a 4-3-3. He likes to press a lot, and that creates counter-attacking opportunities for Lazio. They also cheat on defensively using zone coverage, something that we also saw with Maurizio Sarri during his time with Juventus. All right. Now, again, when the fast break opportunities are not there, Lazio is actually very, very smart and very, very sharp. Okay. So, again, taking what you give them. If you're going to collapse towards the back there, you can see as they work the ball around. Now, all of a sudden, as they collapse close to the area here and try to keep you pinned, if space provides itself for fullbacks and even midfielders to join up in the play, they will. And then again, with collapsing with their forwards, you'll see a lot of misdirection from Lazio. First one making the run and simply leaving it for the follow-up run, which in this case is Ciro Immobile. Okay, so again, they're very, very smart, methodical in how they go about their business, and they flood the area with their forwards. They try to clamp down and close down. And what they try to do is force you to collapse to open up the space for them to actually get deeper in build up again, right? So here you have another scenario. Ball goes out wide, and up at the top here, you'll see forward makes a run into the space here just to see who follows. Now, Anderson, who's a big part of Lazio here, you'll see him start to cut inside as these players are all kind of keeping an eye on Chiro there. The ball will get across to Sergei Milinkovic-Savic. Now, with those players keeping all these guys basically in check here, what does this open it up? It opens up a scenario for Anderson and Milinkovic-Savic to kind of exploit and attack. So Savic will get it to Anderson, and then he will quickly attack the space that is provided again with the defense that's kind of hung up, keeping an eye on Luis Alberto, Ciro Immobile, Pedro, right? And the ball gets deep to Milinkovic-Savic, and again, looking for the follow-up runs. And this one actually goes in goal from a Ciro Immobile header, okay? Another scenario, again, really, really crisp in taking what you give them. Again, you see players closing in on the box, putting the squeeze on. But then what happens is these two ahead of Chiro will start to move out. The ball carrier will wait to see what exactly presents itself. Sorry, and you could see here with those players making their moves outwards to where the ball carrier was coming from. This opens up space, and Chiro actually does well to create separation. And then you've got a 1v1 scenario. This one actually ends up in a Chiro Mobile shot off the post. Okay. So they like to come into the area, collapse you, and then try to pull you out with their forwards. Okay. Here's another scenario. Again, taking what's given. Great run in behind here, but it freezes about three players here. What he does instead is take what's given to him, plays it over to Anderson, Alberto, who lays it off for Chiro, who just simply slots this one in with a one timer from the top of the area there. Okay. How can you hurt Lazio? Okay. So there's a few ways. The way they like to play, which is essentially attack you very, very quickly on counter attacks, what they do is they basically are one of those sides that relies heavily on zone coverage, and they will cheat and try to create and try to keep guys further up so that they can counter attack you very, very quickly. Now, what that does is it opens up quite a bit of space between defense and midfield, right? So when you attack them, you have to essentially do the same thing. You have to wait and see kind of what they present to you and whatnot, but there will be an opportunity to break the lines against Lazio. And then from there, again, ton of space here after that one pass to the top of the area to your pivot, ton of space here, and they actually exploit it here and get a good shot opportunity from here. This one ends up going wide or whatnot, but again, take what's given. They will be strict with the four at the back, but they do have tendencies to collapse. So it's interesting because they're a mix of almost collapsing with the four at the back and sometimes cheating and spreading them out. Now the thing is, either way, a lot of the same area becomes available for Juventus to attack. Okay, on this is another thing we talked about. Lazio, they love to counterattack. They love to press. It leaves them susceptible to counterattacks. You have to be ready to counterattack here. You could see they're left high and dry with four back. Another one gets in there far too late, and you should be able to get a couple of odd man rushes. This one's actually put in the back of the net against them. In terms of normal buildup and creation, again, these four at the back are left quite a bit. And if they're going to collapse like this and just be in the area, the same goes for what becomes available that they like to look for, Lazio themselves. So Lazio likes to look for the deep penetration, follow up runs, and whatnot. This becomes available against Lazio as well, in the fact that they like to cheat forward and counterattack you and whatnot. So you've got four, you've got them collapsed in the area. What becomes available is always these corners and these bylines and getting the ball deep there. So for Juventus, it's really really clear on how you're going to have to try to attempt to break these guys down. The ball needs to move very very quickly, okay, and you need to keep an eye on their back line, and if you can spread them out or if you can get them to collapse, whichever way it goes, Juventus needs to make a decision. Hey, we are going to try to collapse this defensive unit, and that would mean playing your forwards very, very close together. Or you could try to spread them out and then get midfielders more involved. So, one way or another, Max is going to have to come up with a system and come up with a personnel group that makes sense to whichever style he wants to try and exploit Lazio. The other thing is, in his personnel, he needs to be very, very clear about who the counter is going to work through. Paulo Dybala is extremely doubtful to be in this one for the start. So you might see Kulishevsky be one of those players that should be able to lead the counterattack. And there you have it. So on the outside, with no Bernardeschi now, who's going to be out for the next three matches, if Rabiot goes in there, that could be one of the cogs that breaks down in terms of how we can counterattack this Lazio side. But with Chiesa, Quadrado available, again, Kulishevsky, he shouldn't have an issue putting a team that should be able to exploit Lazio. This ends up becoming a shot opportunity from here. And again, when they counter, you spread them out at the back. Again, what becomes available? These bylines and these corners. Lazio leaves that open, and they like to, but you have to punish them. So quick ball movement, look for counterattacks against Lazio, and again, those corners are going to be open. So you got to get the ball deep, look for trailing runs, work it around, but the ball movement needs to be quick because Lazio will be in their zone. They will be cheating and looking to counterattack you. So you need to be smart in possession, something Juventus needs to get better at. Cut down the dispossessions. Need to move the ball quickly, and you need to essentially force Lazio to either spread out or collapse. But whichever you go with, you need to be decisive about it and make sure that you make it count. All right. So that's kind of a look at Lazio, some of the tendencies they have, what they like to do. And that's basically, yeah, exactly what's given from you. Their forwards work very, very well together. They interchange a lot. And again, there's a lot of deception in what Lazio does. Okay. They will make runs to try and lure people away, but they never really look at those runs. They're always looking at something else. So it's very, very interesting when you start watching Lazio play. what they try to do. There are some sequences that are typical of Sarri ball, and that is 1-2s between your drop down forward back to a mid looking up pitch, and the forwards, the wingers, essentially cutting in into space and behind. And again, this is going to be interesting to see how Juve approaches this Lazio side. And it's always tough to kind of predict because we don't really know, is Allegri ever going to make a formation switch? Is he going to continue with Rabiot out on the wing? There's a lot of question marks surrounding Juventus and what we like to do. So it's really, really hard to get a basis for what Allegri's going to do. But as you can see from Lazio, there will be no surprises. Everybody knows this about Sarri. We came to know this about Maurizio Sarri. He will not shy away from what he believes in, how he wants to play. It's always the same. Don't expect anything different from Lazio. The one thing is they are banged up, so there will be a few different faces, but in the middle of the park, they will be strong because Luis Alberto will be in there. Milinkovic Savic will be in there. Pedro's actually done quite well for them up front, and Anderson is a very, very skilled player too. So Lazio still has more than enough players to do damage, regardless of Immobile and Lazzari not being available and whatnot. So this will be a very, very tough matchup. Of course, Lazio will be at home, and Juventus will be away. It's going to be tough. There's your tactical breakdown, though, on things to look for in this match. We hope you enjoyed the video. The feedback's been tremendous. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's the All Juve cast. It's all Juve all the time. That's everything you need to know. All right. Don't forget, Match Day Live tomorrow morning. We get you ready for the match, 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll talk to you then. As always, fino alla fine, forza Juventus. Ciao.